Boys here, and Mark and Sean are absent. I have two things to add to the agenda. One is just a little discussion on reopening the courthouse, or I just called it COVID. And the other one is a sales ratio study. Samantha would like us to give her some direction on what to do next. Are there any other additions or corrections to the agenda?
I'll make a motion, we approve the agenda as submitted and amended.
It's been moved by John to approve the agenda as amended. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Minutes for the meeting on May 8th.
First paragraph, we're missing, Larry Black. Lyle Black.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
With Lyle.
Lyle.
Thank you. I meant to go back and find his name.
On page 3, where it discusses the old Union Bridge, it probably say advertise for bids for sale of the bridges, not just for bids.
Where's that? Like, advertise
In
for?
the fourth line in that paragraph.
Okay,
Probably should say advertise for bids for the sale of the overbeing.
the sale. Okay. Advertise.
When we're talking about the clerk of court contract, it says Vincent discussed the contract that was presented. I guess it already names the clerk of court before that, so maybe that's fine.
What do you want me to change?
No, I think
It's
I was
okay.
just
Oh.
reading it, I think it's fine the way it is.
Okay.
She referenced the clerk of court contract before
Oh, okay,
the sentence I was looking at and just referred to the contract, so I think it's fine.
okay.
Anything else in the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes as amended and dispense with the reading.
Been moved by Dale to approve the minutes for the May 8th meeting as amended and dispense with the reading.
I think I have one question, Samantha, on the LAP program.
Yes.
Are we supposed to levy 3 mills or 4 mills? I think it's 3 mills.
I checked into it, and on the thing, it's not to exceed 4 mils.
Not to exceed, but what's the minimum?
Oh,
Minimum is 3. I think.
3, okay,
I believe so.
okay.
Oh, so put 3 in there. Sure, I didn't catch that.
3. Perfect.
Okay. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second the motion.
Seconded by John. Is there any discussion? Any discussion, any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll move on to the bills.
I do have one that if we could get it added, is for Bin City bulk for $1,018.50.
Okay.
One thing I would like just to clarify on the balances, when you see like the general sheriff's vehicle and it's negative the 19,000, that's because we had 30,000 budgeted, but we did transfer that 20,000 from last year's budget into this year, so it's able to go over the 20,000, and we do have the funding for it.
Okay, so those two sheriff's vehicle bills, one for 3,000 some odd dollars, one for 4, is that for the new vehicle?
One for 3,000. Yes. I can grab those for you. Code 4. The code 4 was labor on the Dodge. But he has it coming out of there, and I think it's this is going to the Durango.
Right, so that's part of the install on the,
Yep.
that they had set aside for that, or is this over and above the new vehicle?
No, I believe this is stuff that was set aside for it.
Okay. Both those bills, I think one's for 34, one's for 43.
Yep. The other one for TJ's, that's the body cameras.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The road outside contract, is that an engineering fee?
Say that one more time.
Excuse me?
Say that one more time.
Oh, road outside contract for $1,900, just below the general insurance.
General insurance, $19. KLJ. Let's grab that for you. This is for the emergency grade raise.
That was for that pre-engineering estimate.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else?
I would motion we approve the bills as presented,
With the addition?
With the addition of Bin City.
with the addition of Mid City. Thank you.
Been moved by John that we approve the bills as presented with the addition of Bin City bulk for fuel for the maintainer. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries. Win.
Your packet is over there. Yep.
Sit in Sean's chair and everybody can see you.
We have bid opening for the County Road 8 grade raise. We only have one bid came in from Tom Gilbertson and Sons.
Hey Troy, I can't hear hear him.
Speak into the microphone.
There's just one bid, John, from Gilbertson's.
Okay.
The bid for site 1 is $100,325. And the bid for site 2 is $68,640.
60 only.
68,640.
For a total of,
We're working on it.
168, 965.
168, 965.
$168,965.
so Wayne, what do we need to move forward?
We need you guys to vote on it, whether we go ahead or not. We have I got the permit from the Corps of Engineers today.
You did.
Yep.
Is there any mitigation?
What's it? 0.25, but then it said it didn't say anything about having to, any mitigation. It just said, got it right here. It says we are responding to your May 12th, 20 request for a Department of Army permit for County Road FAS 2010 County Road 8 emergency grade raise. Proposal includes raising the road in 2 locations. Grade raise would occur on the existing driving surface without expanding the footprint of the current embankment. Clay would be utilized to create a 2-foot lift, which would then be covered with 6 inches of gravel, accomplished by, they list different quantities, and riprap. These activities will not result in permanent loss of waters of the United States. However, will cause permanent impacts to approximately 0.25 acre of waters of the United States. Project sites are located. Based on the information you provided, the proposed activity is authorized by Regional General Permit number 9601-08, emergency flood related activities. Your work must comply with the general terms and conditions listed on the enclosed Regional General Permit information sheets. You must sign the enclosed compliance certification and return it to this office within 30 days after completion of the authorized work. Verification is valid for 120 days from the date of this letter or until Regional General Permit is modified, reissued, or revoked, whichever comes first. Failure to comply with the general conditions of the Regional General Permit or project-specific special conditions of this authorization may result in suspension or revocation of your authorization. And I just didn't have a lot of time to look at it, but there was nothing there about having to mitigate.
Well,
any
she said
property. She said it's just water that you.
But we need to, somebody needs to read the stipulations and make sure we don't break the rules.
Right. Your activity is subject to compliance inspection by U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, so.
that's the condition.
This is the Department of Army permit, which was created in, it's like signed in 2009. Just general directions. For 2019, that one is. 2018. So this is just a list of the things. It doesn't say anything about having to mitigate any property. It just says as long as it's on.
Well, mitigation is if you remove water, if you put fill in, you're just displacing the volume of water.
Right.
Gets microscopically higher all over, so.
Yep, and permission from Fish and Wildlife. He said they had no problem with it. Kurt Tompkins.
Can you send us something in writing?
I have it in writing.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got a copy in the property, in that pasture where the barrow is, there is some little potholes that are part of their easement. And he said, as long as you don't fill any of those potholes or drain anything, you can take all the dirt fill you want. He said, if you push, strip back and get some into that pothole, there's one that's kind of at the side of that hill, and just clean it back out again, he said. Good. So
Wade, does this bid include the moral?
yes.
It is, okay, so that was negotiated separately by Gilbertson's and a third party.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, Gilbertson is purchasing it from the same party as we would have. Yep, for the same price, I believe.
Yeah, so do you see any problem complying with the regulations, the rules that we have to go by?
Well, this is if we wanted to get a reimbursement from emergency gradeways, then we would have to follow these guidelines, or he would have to, emergency relief contract requirements. And he's got to initial each one of the lines, which there's about 10 of them, and sign it, contractor, in the presence of a local public authority witness. And then they've got to go by a bunch of different provisions. They have to do of course, general, and then they have to have a non-discrimination, non-segregated facilities, Davis-Bacon, related act provisions, contract work hours has to be listed, subletting or assigning contract, safety. So there's North Dakota ADA requirements, race to neutral, DVE special provision, EEO affirmative action requirements, Davis-Bacon wage and payroll, prompt payment, certified payroll special provision, Buy America provision, convict produced material. All materials shall come from an approved location. Pre-approved locations can be found on the North Dakota website at www.ndot. And I did go and certified or registered our material source, and I got an email back from them, the DOT, and they said that is the easement of the Fish and Wildlife, so they would have control over that, whether we could use that, but as long as they were okay with it, DOT was okay with it. So that's when I talked to Kurt Tompkins again, and he sent me a map with these little easements, waterfall easements. He said as long as we stay out of there, we have no problem.
But we only need to do that if we intend on.
This is only if you're gonna
The permanent.
do a
right?
permanent one, yeah.
But we can't tell the Gilbertsons that they have to comply with that now that they gave us a bid, we'd have to rebid it.
That's correct.
Not necessarily, I don't think.
Well, I think the only thing that adds cost-wise would be.
Davis Bacon wages,
And if he's paying higher than that anyway,
and I don't know that.
I don't know either, but I think, pretty sure that, you know, 'cause I think they are.
And it depends upon if they're,
You know what that is?
I brought a list of,
Yeah, I give them current wage rates.
Did he show, I mean, hasn't Tom seen?
Tom
it?
hasn't seen it, Tom doesn't know he's got through a bid or anything, you know, so. And I told him about this, that if you guys chose to, if the commission chose to go ahead with the permanent grade raise, then we would have to follow these
Right, well,
guidelines.
if, I'm only one man, but it would be my intention to try to get some longer off of there instead of doing a permanent grade raise, because I would like a permanent solution.
Yeah,
I agree.
But if what if we're unsuccessful?
Well, let me see if I understand this. I don't think it relates to the permanent grade raise. I think it relates to the reimbursement.
That's true.
yeah.
Yes,
We could still do the permanent grade raise later, but we'd have to pay for this part of it.
that's correct. In my interpretation of it, I don't know. Does that sound right, Wayne?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
So if the water comes up again and gets up on a road again, then we can apply again, if there's a disaster at that time. Right, Paul?
You can show that to Tom, and if he doesn't feel like it's gonna add to his cost, we can do it for drill. But we're not gonna apply for reimbursement on this until we find out we can't drain.
Right.
But we can't hold him to that if he doesn't wanna do it.
We didn't specify that.
Right, it wasn't part of the bid.
So. I did type up a notice of award, but in that award, I put in yet to sign that, sign and the initial that emergency relief contract requirements, so I don't have to do
I
that.
don't know if we can change the rules, no.
Troy,
Yeah,
I don't think we could even inquire whether or not he will go by all the rules and regulations if we didn't lay them out first.
we can ask. He can say no.
Technically not, but because there's always implied that by asking and him turning it down, that there might be some negative feelings associated with that. If you go outside the contract as advertised, then there needs to be a rebid of the amendment for what you went outside the contract, unless there was a provision in the contract that allowed you to add on to the existing contract with increases settled accordingly. I mean, he might go along with it, but if it wouldn't, I don't think we would be straight up doing that.
Depends on how you ask the question.
It does.
In my,
If he's awarded the contract and then you ask him, then there's no, he's not gonna
He
feel,
doesn't have any pressure.
yeah, he's not under any pressure to comply with the additional.
So Wayne, you answered the question about if we're going to apply the provisions, if we're going to make this permanent or ask for reimbursement of funding. How about if we're not? There were some provisions in there also that we had to abide by. Can we abide by those?
Good question.
Well, regardless, you have to meet the requirements of the core permit, but other than that, I don't know.
You have to meet the requirements of the
Army Corps permits.
Corps of
corporate.
Engineers.
Yeah, right.
If we can't abide by those, or if they're outside what we scoped the contract as, then we're at a standstill.
Right. Well, I can certainly ask him if he wouldn't mind, if he would read it over. Still, we'd give him the contract, award him the contract, because we have no other bidders.
I would just award them the contract and then say, we don't really know exactly what's gonna happen in the future. And we didn't include this in the bid, but you look at it and see if it's gonna add cost for you. Or if this is something that you are already complying with, so that we can, if you would certify that we
I think
didn't.
some of those things were,
But it's not on there that he complies with that.
nope. No, I had another one written up where I had all that stuff on it, but I
Oh, you did too?
deleted it.
Okay.
Well, I'm confused. Aren't there two sets of provisions? One set of provisions if we do not ask for reimbursement? When you were reading the permit from the Corps of Engineers, they specified a set of provisions that we had to comply with.
Yes, we had to put the fill on top of the pavement, or out as far as the embankment. Grade areas were to occur on the existing driving surface without expanding the footprint of the current embankment.
Okay, so my question is, can we comply with all the provisions for the emergency grade raise if we don't ask for reimbursement? Can we comply with that?
Yes,
Okay.
and probably if we could. Even if we applied for it, we still probably would comply with it.
Right.
Except for maybe the standards of the North Dakota DOT building, where you have to have a slope of a certain,
Well, the emergency grade raises are.
I just don't see spending $600,000 on this thing, for a permanent raise, when I think the money could be spent towards, and hopefully not that much money spent towards a drain.
it's hard to know.
I agree with you, but we don't know the answer,
Right?
whether or not we can drain.
We don't. And we don't know the answer whether or not it's gonna come up anymore, or go down.
Right.
Right. And the drain that the Foster County was working on was much.
So I would make the motion that we accept Gilbertson's bid and instruct them to start on the project, along with to ask them if they can comply with the provisions, and if they can, how much would it cost to do that?
True, we can always pay them more if we need to. It might be cheap insurance.
Correct.
Okay? John has made a motion that we accept Gilbertson's bid and present them with the stipulations of the emergency road raise and ask them what it would cost to comply. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries.
I assume then that they won't start the project until we get an answer to our question, correct?
They had plans maybe starting on Tuesday with hauling riprap. Depends upon where they get them from.
I see.
the pit down in Barnes County, the road is really bad coming out of there. I guess they got stuck with the truck yesterday. But, just gonna look for an alternative source from the west maybe, but then that would be coming across Foster County's road, so you didn't wanna do that either. But, sounded like next week anyway that they would be starting on it.
Okay, well, so don't we need an answer to our question first?
Well, as long as we have the approval, which you guys just voted almost on.
No, I don't, but don't we need an answer to the question?
Not really, we're gonna do it either way.
Yeah.
Okay? Okay,
Do I need to sign anything? Or do you sign those?
Whoever you want. And I don't know if this is,
say Wayne,
yes.
did Foster County build up the road west of there yet?
No, they haven't built it up yet.
Is the water over the road?
I don't think it's over. Paul was up there today.
I was west of there in the next slough, and that wasn't over yet. It was about the same
Yeah.
as it was before.
They still weren't over the pavement yet, to the west.
Okay.
And I didn't listen to the full meeting the other day. I don't know if
I did. Dale did.
they're gonna go ahead with, raising that up. Or didn't they decide on that yet?
They were talking about the drain.
Yeah, but then they said Alan Scanson got a quote from Gilbertson,
Oh, yeah, it was way cheaper than
Yeah.
ours.
30,000
Yeah.
for 600 feet.
Oh, that's all it is.
That's enough.
No idea.
Yeah, so they haven't done it yet, and I talked to Tom, they hadn't asked him to do it yet, so. As far as raising it up.
But even, the whole discussion on that drain over there was to get an emergency permit from the Corps and the game fish. And they never ever talked about the no-name slough being part of it, so then at the end, when they asked if anybody had any questions, I unmuted myself and asked them if they were gonna take another look at the engineering plan, if they were gonna increase the scope of it to include the no-name slough, if we were gonna do a joint project, and the answer was no.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're gonna go do their emergency outlet and then start immediately on a legal drain and then include the no-name slough, or I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, that's kind of what it sounded like.
Because if we wanted some relief from this summer, we almost would have to do our own emergency outlet request.
Yep. Is that what you heard?
They were just kind of feeling out what the
Yeah.
permit process was.
I think Mr. Dreer brought it up kind of maybe about the no-name slough or something, maybe when you asked the question. But
I don't know.
that's kind of back on the burner as far as I saw it. But you get theirs approved first. And
That's kind of what it looked like.
That makes sense. They'd have to make a lot of room for additional water.
Depends on how fast we let it go.
Well, yeah, right.
If we don't let it go faster than they're letting it go, we
Right.
shouldn't raise their level.
so that's probably why they're gonna raise their road up, I'm thinking. Because the water's gonna be
And I know
on the other
that
side.
since 2017, there's been a bunch of work done on that, where their proposed drain is. Branson's done a lot of work in there.
Yeah.
Tommy D's been in there, and Dan Gilbert's.
So,
Just about run
the,
that.
the no-name slough is what we are dumping the water into now?
The no-name slough is the one that's over the top of our road.
Isn't that kind of a contradiction? The name
I don't know, but I saw in one paper it said Johnson Wildlife or something like
Yeah.
that. Slip area.
The Johnson Wildlife area is north of there.
Yeah, it is. Right now, the water hasn't been coming up for what the last week hasn't, Wayne. It looks like it's almost stabilized.
I wasn't out there all week this week, I guess.
Yeah.
Paul Bjornson was there this morning on the west end and looked, and he thought,
No, I was on the next blue over.
oh, you didn't go up by Blacks?
No, I didn't go that
Oh,
far.
okay. Yeah, so, no, I haven't looked at it.
Yeah, it looks like it's at the same, it looks like it's stayed the same or maybe come down a little bit where the sign markers are for the culvert.
Yeah,
I was looking at the north side here, and it looks like it's the same number of holes down from the sign as it has been, or maybe one or two less.
yeah.
So it's possibly that it's stopped going up, or maybe possibly receding a little bit, which would be helpful.
Right. Well, the good thing is we got all the permits, the requirements that we had to have, and
Let her rip.
can let her rip.
Right. I mean, it is still, how much higher is the level of the no-name slough than on the Foster County side, the level?
Than the alkali lake?
What is the height difference?
Several feet, I don't remember.
Okay. So
It is.
whether there's an outlet or not, just by ground activity, the water is going to try to seek its own level. It's going to try to raise the one. It's going to try to run out of the no-name slough, whether it does it underground or overground, to the lowest level.
You know?
Okay.
Okay, I have one more thing from emergency services. It's an agreement that,
How come there's no date on this? This is for a disaster that was declared last fall, or
Yep.
when's the disaster period?
yeah, October 9th through the 26th.
Does it say that in here somewhere? I couldn't find it.
I don't think so.
Does that have a DR number?
Pardon?
Does that have a DR number?
No, this isn't DR, this is for,
DR,
oh,
FEMA 4475.
Okay, so that, if you look that up, it'll have the dates.
that's October
Yeah.
9th through the 26th, 2018.
So do we have anything?
Yeah, we've got money waiting to get paid as soon as we sign this.
So do we need to act on it?
Well, probably could ask the commission if you have permission to vote or to send in this reimbursement. Yes, I turned in a bunch of stuff that we did last October. We raised up or hauled in a bunch of gravel. And there's several townships that had some damage at that time too. There's the original one. And so now, this has taken a long process to go through all this. But now I got an email saying that there's like $25,000 waiting to be sent out to Griggs County for the Griggs County Road Department. And then later on, there'll be for Lenora Township, I think it was, Clearfield and Addy. So there'll be some more coming, but somehow I failed to get this signed, I guess, before. So I signed, Samantha signed, and then I'll send in those 2 pages that are e-signed, and then they'll have their, Dustin Messner signed their portion and send that back to us for our.
Motion to send in the reimbursement request.
So moved.
Moved by John,
Second.
seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. Dale? John?
Aye.
Troy votes aye, and motion carries. I moved the phone so you got into different order now, John.
Okay. Where am I sitting now?
You're sitting to my right now, you were to my left before.
Okay, good deal, I'll move it up then.
Okay, if that's all I got,
Okay,
other than we got a lot of water. We worked 2 days there south of Donna Evers, Plaza Evers' place, and
I got your email.
hauled some gravel in there.
How come those photos always go to Google?
I hate, that's my phone, is Google.
Google Photos, so you can't just text them?
Oh, I send them by
Email.
email,
That's why it goes to Google.
yeah.
If you texted them, I don't think they would do that. They're hard to open.
Are they?
I don't know. I mean, they open, but they don't, I don't know, it's not like looking at a photograph. I don't like Google Photos. But anyway,
And yours is road over by the church by Reynolds.
yeah, I went with that. But it's wet out there, Wayne.
It's wet out there, but it's gonna keep coming up.
I mean,
And as we keep losing roads,
there's gonna be no
Yeah,
corn
well-
in this country, there's gonna be very little wheat and a lot of PP, I think.
yeah. So, anyway, I asked Kurt Tompkins if we could put in a drain. Sure, he said. Emergency drain, but then he said you gotta fill it back in, but you gotta get all the permits, the easements and whatever, so. I'm looking at it, it might run,
That's gotta go south.
it's gotta go west first, the Ball Hill Creek is straight to the west.
Okay.
But right now, the water come up so high, so now it's running south where the water used to drain into the Phelps Slough. Now it's draining from Phelps Slough down to that intersection south of Evers. It's crossing the road there because I don't know if the culvert's blocked or it's not one there. And then it's filling up the south side. But there's a big slough area that goes all the way to the west past Richard Olson's place. And I'm gonna look on the Water Institute site and see what the, or
LiDAR.
site, yeah, LiDAR, and see what the elevations are. That might be the way to go versus out of the end of Sidley, if it is ever possible. And it might, it keeps coming up, it might
Fine,
go
that's
by
fine.
itself. If John would fly me over these places,
Yeah, I can do that.
Just can't get very good elevations from an airplane.
but you can get good pictures of what water looks like. All right,
Okay.
I will talk to Mr. Gilbertson and
So Derek Hansen called me when I was on my way here. Apparently, we've had a positive test in Griggs County, but I don't know if it's really in Griggs County. I don't know if it's a false positive or if they've been retested. He didn't know anything, so he's gonna get back to me. I know they've been doing a lot of testing in Griggs County, so it's not surprising that they've got a positive, but that test is so unreliable that I don't know. I don't get too wild. I need to know more. Samantha wanted to talk a little bit about how and when we reopen the courthouse. She called me the other day, so you guys. It's my opinion that the elected officials that are here every day should probably make that decision, because we have very little risk. And they have themselves and their employees to worry about. And I don't think we dare do anything more aggressive than what the state is doing anyway. So that's just a discussion item, I don't know. What do you guys think?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think we should just leave it up to the elected courthouse officials, and they will probably look to the state for guidance, I would imagine.
Okay. Samantha, the next thing I have here is the sales ratio study, and Steele County has declined due to time constraints to help with the sales ratio study. On top of that, most of the tax equalization meetings were postponed, so we don't have information to have an equalization meeting meeting anyway. So maybe we should, can we postpone our tax equalization meeting for a month?
I know last year you guys opened it and then just tabled it until your next meeting.
Okay,
So I don't know if that's something that you guys can do.
Say, Troy?
yep,
I think by statute, we have to have the meeting, but we can have the meeting and then determine that we don't have enough information to
Okay.
arrive at a decision.
that's what Samantha said we did last year. We just we opened the meeting and then, went into, we tabled we tabled the agenda and then, went into, what do they call it?
Recess?
Recess.
Yep. Yep, that way we comply with the statute.
Right.
We really have we can't force someone to have a meeting when we have this virus and a shutdown. So without the information, we can't do anything, and we can't have the information until they have the equalization meetings, and there we are.
How many townships are left to have their equalization?
Connie was gonna call around today, and I didn't hear from her, so I don't know how many she had contacted, but I was contacted by a few. I know Binford doesn't even have an assessor. When he contacted me, they didn't have one, so I haven't heard from him since, so I don't know if he got somebody. And then Connie was contacted by a few others and said that they haven't had their meeting yet.
I think we should reach out to the Association of Counties, Samantha, and see if there would be a equalization director that would help us out with the sales ratio study.
Okay.
Now, I think we're charged with making sure these assessments get done too. Should we try to hire one of these local assessors to do Binford, or, I mean, if the local entities don't do it, I think we have to, and then bill them for it. I guess we can find out what their plans are before we start doing that stuff. I don't wanna stomp on somebody's toes.
Correct.
There was other guidance that if you don't have an assessor, that the board kind of knows the township board kind of knows their area, and then they can kind of adjust them where they think it should go to.
Cities do?
I think so.
Oh, wow.
That's what Connie had told me today.
Say that again?
There was discussion about the board is able to, like, the board knows their location pretty well, and then they can adjust values the way that they see fit if they can't find an assessor.
Well, it's really always that way anyway. The board or whatever board has the final say on equalization, no matter what the assessors put forward.
Right.
We proved that last year.
So, if we don't get this stuff from the townships, we should ask them to have their board look at their properties and assess them. The agricultural property is a slam dunk, so it's just a few houses in the township.
Yeah, and if from last year, it's perfectly permissible to assess them at last year's value.
Right. Okay. Does that help? Then Samantha's a little hesitant to go to neighboring counties that she doesn't know the equalization director. Should we just do it anyway? I guess you could start with an association of counties and then we'll go from there. We're not gonna do anything next meeting anyways.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would just to the Association of Counties and see if they can be of any help.
Right.
Yeah.
New courthouse, old courthouse?
No.
Future business?
I would sure like to talk about our engineering services and what our options are. I'd like to discuss it in an open meeting with our state's attorney. It seems like we're not getting a free market system the way we have this, and I would certainly like to see some other options. After this last episode here, where we ended up with admittedly engineering services and valuations put forward way over what the engineer admitted that the cost would be, I think we have to have a serious discussion about who's working for us. That puts the county in a bad position by all of a sudden having a $3.2 million project that the engineer admits won't be $3.2 million. And now there we are, now there we sit. You can't make a decision. You have to make a decision based on price, and the only price you have in front of you is one that they admit is inflated and no way to go anywhere else. So the cause of that was the engineering firm. And typically when you have a cause of a problem, the way you solve the problem is by remedying the cause. And I'm all in favor of looking elsewhere. So I think we should have it on the agenda.
We can put it on the agenda.
Okay?
I would say one thing though. As I recall, the reason that was done was because of the funding process through the DOT. So I'm not as critical as you are because I don't work with those funding sources. I mean, maybe they have to make damn sure they have to make sure that they don't undershoot those things, because I don't know if they can adjust them up after the fact. So I'm kind of torn.
I've never seen a contract yet that didn't incorporate change orders.
Okay. Well, this is funding source, not the contract, not the construction contract. So,
It was bid high in an attempt to make sure they got
We'll talk about it in the next
disaster
meeting.
declared, is what I understood.
right, that's fine, John. Anything else for the good of the order?
Motion to adjourn.
Been moved by Dale to adjourn. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned.
Thanks, everybody.
3:28 p.m. Thanks, John. See you later.
Yep.
3:28 p.m. The next regular meeting will be June 5th at 2:30.